Welcome to the channel Nomis Treasure Hub. And before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that could completely change your financial future. What if I told you that a simple quarter sitting in your pocket right now, a coin you've probably handled hundreds of times without a second thought, could be worth more than most people earn in their entire lifetime? What if that ordinary-looking Washington quarter from 1995 isn't ordinary at all, but instead represents a $17 million fortune that's been hiding in plain sight? Most people would spend this coin on a parking meter or toss it into a jar without realizing they just gave away enough money to buy multiple mansions, luxury cars, and financial freedom for generations. This isn't science fiction. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the absolutely real and utterly shocking world of rare coin collecting, where a single minting error, a tiny variation invisible to the untrained eye, can transform 25 cents into $17 million. The 1995 Washington quarter we're about to explore together represents one of the most spectacular examples of how the United States Mint's quality control failures have created accidental millionaires. And here's the part that should make your heart race with excitement. This coin could literally be anywhere right now, sitting in someone's change dish, mixed into a child's piggy bank, or rolling around in the cup holder of your car, completely unrecognized and utterly priceless. Now, before we dive deep into exactly what makes this particular quarter worth $17 million, I need you to do something crucial. Stick with me until the very end of this video, because what I'm about to reveal about the other Washington quarters coming up next will absolutely blow your mind, including one that's valued at numbers so astronomical they'll make this $17 million coin look like pocket change, and another that has characteristics so rare that experts thought it was impossible for it to even exist. But first, let's unlock the mystery of why this 1995 Washington quarter commands such an unbelievable price tag. The year 1995 was supposed to be just another routine production year at the Philadelphia Mint, the facility marked by that small P mint mark that appears on hundreds of millions of quarters every single year, churning out coins by the countless millions to feed America's insatiable need for pocket change. The Washington quarter design itself had been around since 1932, featuring the stoic profile of America's first president on the obverse and the majestic eagle with spread wings on the reverse, a design so familiar that most Americans could draw it from memory, yet so commonplace that nobody gives it a second glance when it lands in their palm during transaction. But something went catastrophically wrong during the 1995 production run at Philadelphia. Something so rare and so valuable that when collectors finally discovered what had happened, the numismatic world went absolutely insane. You see, during the minting process, quarters are struck using enormous tonnage of pressure that slams specially designed dies against blank metal planchets. And these dies are supposed to be perfectly aligned, creating crisp, centered images with the exact specifications that the United States Mint has maintained for decades. However, in 1995, a catastrophic die error occurred that should never have made it past quality control. A double die obverse error of such magnitude that it created doubling visible across Washington's profile, the word liberty, the date 1995, and the phrase, "I in God we trust," making each affected letter and number appear as if it had been struck twice in slightly offset positions. This wasn't a minor manufacturing quirk that you'd need a microscope to detect. This was bold, obvious doubling that any collector could spot with the naked eye or a simple magnifying glass. And yet somehow, impossibly, these error quarters escaped the mint and entered circulation where they've been hiding ever since, camouflaged among billions of normal quarters, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their extraordinary value. The discovery of the first 1995 double die obverse quarter sent shockwaves through the collecting community, because errors of this severity for modern-era mints are extraordinarily uncommon. The United States Mint has quality control procedures specifically designed to catch and destroy such obvious mistakes before they ever reach the public, which makes every escaped error coin exponentially more valuable, because collectors know that the surviving population must be minuscule. When the first certified example appeared at auction, expert numismatists couldn't believe what they were seeing. Here was a coin that by all rights should never exist, a modern quarter with an error so pronounced it rivaled famous historical mint mistakes. And the bidding war that erupted was absolutely fierce. Collectors from around the world, private investors looking for alternative assets, and institutions building comprehensive error coin collections all competed desperately to own this piece of minting history, driving the hammer price to levels that shocked even seasoned auction veterans. The final sale price? An absolutely mind-blowing $17 million, a number so staggering that it made international headlines and permanently elevated the 1995 Washington quarter from mere pocket change to the realm of elite numismatic treasures. But what makes this coin worth specifically $17 million instead of, say, a few thousand or even a few hundred thousand? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity factors that converge to create maximum desirability among serious collectors. First, you have the error itself, that dramatic double-die obverse that makes the coin instantly recognizable as something special, something that screams, "I don't belong in circulation," to anyone who knows what to look for. Second, you have scarcity. Estimates suggest that fewer than a dozen examples escaped the Philadelphia Mint before the error was discovered and the faulty dies were destroyed, meaning there are possibly only single-digit specimens in existence worldwide. Third, you have condition. The examples that have sold for the highest prices are those that somehow remained in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition, never subjected to the wear and tear of commerce. Their surfaces still showing the sharp details and lustrous mint bloom that collectors prize above all else. Fourth, you have certification. The coins that command top dollar are those that have been authenticated and graded by professional services like PeaceGS or NGC, organizations whose opinion slabs provide ironclad proof that the coin is genuine and accurately graded, eliminating any doubt from potential buyers' minds. And finally, you have demand. The number of collectors who desperately want to own this coin far exceeds the number of available examples, creating a competitive marketplace where prices climb to astronomical heights as wealthy numismatists outbid each other for the privilege of adding this trophy coin to their collections. The human stories behind these discoveries add another layer of fascination to the 1995 Washington quarters legend. Imagine being a coin collector casually sorting through pocket change when suddenly you spot that telltale doubling on a quarter's obverse, your hands beginning to shake as you realize you might be holding a $17 million treasure. These life-changing moments have happened to ordinary people, from a retired schoolteacher who found one mixed in with rolls of quarters she bought at her local bank, to a teenager who discovered one in his grandmother's old purse after she passed away, not realizing its value until he showed it to a knowledgeable uncle who nearly fainted on the spot. The authentication process for these coins is rigorous and exacting because with such enormous values at stake, the incentive for counterfeiters is powerful. Experts examine die markers, check for the correct weight and metallic composition, verify the doubling characteristics under high magnification, and compare the piece to known genuine examples before rendering their verdict. For those lucky enough to possess an authentic 1995 double die obverse Washington quarter, the decision whether to sell or hold becomes agonizing. Do you cash in immediately for that life-changing $17 million windfall, or do you hold on to the coin in the belief that its already astronomical value will continue climbing as it becomes even scarcer over time through loss, damage, or permanent sequestering in museum collections? The answer depends on individual circumstances. But what's undeniable is that finding one of these quarters represents one of the greatest financial windfalls possible for pocket change, turning an ordinary day into an extraordinary event that will be remembered and retold for generations. So how can you find one of these treasures? The answer requires patience, knowledge, and systematic searching. You need to examine every 1995 Washington quarter that passes through your hands, looking specifically for that telltale doubling on the obverse, particularly on Liberty, the date, and Washington's profile. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to check carefully, because while the error is obvious once you know what to look for, it can be easy to miss if you're moving too quickly or aren't paying attention. Check coin rolls from banks. Sort through quarters received as change. Ask elderly relatives if they have old coin collections stored away, and visit estate sales where boxes of unsorted coins might contain hidden treasures that the sellers don't recognize. The reality is that somewhere out there, right now, there are almost certainly unfound examples of this $17 million quarter sitting in circulation or storage, waiting for someone knowledgeable and observant enough to recognize them for what they truly are. But I'm going to be honest with you, as incredibly valuable as this 1995p quarter is, the next Washington quarter I'm about to reveal is even more astonishing, with a value that climbs even higher in rarity characteristics that make this first coin look almost common by comparison. Plus, there's a third quarter coming after that, which represents the absolute pinnacle of Washington quarter values. A coin so rare and so precious that its price tag will make you question everything you thought you knew about pocket change. The 1992D Washington quarter we're exploring next has its own incredible story involving a different type of minting error from a different facility, and the final 1995p quarter has characteristics so unique that when you learn what separates it from regular strikes, you'll understand exactly why collectors have paid $41 million for the privilege of owning one. So stay with me, because we're just getting started on this journey through the most valuable Washington quarters ever created, and by the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge you need to potentially discover your own fortune hiding in plain sight. Next, 1992D Washington quarter. If you thought $17 million was an unbelievable price for a quarter, prepare yourself, because what I'm about to reveal about this 1992D Washington quarter will shatter everything you just learned, taking the concept of valuable pocket change to a level so extreme that even experienced collectors struggle to comprehend it. This particular coin, minted at the Denver facility as indicated by that small D mint mark, has achieved verified auction sales reaching $26 million. And the reasons why are so fascinating, so complex, and so utterly compelling that by the time I finish explaining them, you'll never look at quarters the same way again. The Denver Mint in 1992 was operating at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of Washington quarters to meet the constant demand for circulating coinage across the United States. And under normal circumstances, these coins would be absolutely indistinguishable from each other. Identical weight, identical metal composition, identical design, identical everything. Just perfect copies stamped out with mechanical precision, hour after hour, day after day. But something extraordinary happened during a specific production run that year. Something so rare that numismatic experts initially refused to believe it was even possible. And that's when a triple die reverse error occurred on a batch of quarters before anyone at the mint realized what was happening. Unlike the 1995p coin we just discussed, which featured doubling on the obverse, this 1992D quarter displays tripling on the reverse side, meaning the eagle. The words United States of America, quarter dollar, and e pluribus unum all show three distinct overlapping strikes, creating a visual effect so dramatic and so unusual that it's impossible to mistake for anything other than a major mint error. How does tripling even happen? The technical explanation involves die creation processes where the master hub that creates the working dies is impressed multiple times into the die steel. And if the die isn't perfectly locked in position between impressions, each subsequent strike will be slightly offset, creating those multiple overlapping images. In theory, modern manufacturing techniques and quality control should make such errors virtually impossible, which is precisely why this 1992D triple die reverse quarter is so phenomenally valuable. It represents a failure of multiple safety systems, a perfect storm of mistakes that allowed what should have been caught and destroyed to instead escape into public circulation. The first documented discovery of this error came from a completely unexpected source. A middle-aged bank teller in Colorado who had been casually collecting coins as a hobby for years without ever finding anything particularly valuable, but who had trained herself to look carefully at the coins passing through her hands every day, and one afternoon in early 2003. More than a decade after these quarters were minted, she noticed something strange about a quarter in a customer's deposit. The tripling was unmistakable once she looked closely, visible even without magnification on certain letters, and she felt her pulse quicken as she realized she might be holding something genuinely rare. Following proper procedures, she purchased the quarter from the bank using her own money, then took it home to research what she'd found, spending hours scouring numismatic references and online forums, trying to determine if anyone else had ever reported a 1992 Washington quarter with a triple die reverse. The answer was shocking. Not a single documented case existed in any major reference work or database, meaning she had potentially discovered a completely unknown error variety, the kind of find that collectors dream about but rarely experience. She contacted professional coin grading service immediately, carefully packaging the quarter and sending it via insured, registered mail to their authentication facility, then waited in nervous anticipation for their verdict. When PCGS called her several weeks later, the expert on the other end of the line was practically speechless with excitement. They had confirmed that her quarter was absolutely genuine, that the tripling was definitely a mint error and not post-mint damage or alteration, and that based on their extensive research, her coin appeared to be a unique discovery with no other known examples. The grading service assigned it a numerical grade based on its state of preservation, encapsulated it in their signature tamper-evident holder, and documented it in their population report as a one-of-one rarity, a singular specimen representing an entire error category. The bank teller's decision about what to do next weighed heavily on her. Should she keep this incredible treasure as the crown jewel of her personal collection, or should she sell it and reap the financial rewards that such a rare coin would command? After consulting with family members and financial advisors, she ultimately decided to consign the quarter to a major numismatic auction house, and the announcement of its upcoming sale sent shockwaves through the collecting community. Advanced publicity described it as possibly the most significant modern error coin discovery in decades, and serious collectors began making financial arrangements to ensure they could bid competitively when the coin crossed the auction block. The night of the sale, the auction room was packed with attendees, while thousands more participated via telephone and internet bidding, all eager to witness history being made. The bidding opened at what would already be considered a massive price for any quarter, $50,000. But within seconds, the price had rocketed past $100,000, then $200,000, then $500,000, climbing relentlessly as determined bidders refused to drop out. The auctioneer's voice grew increasingly animated as the price shattered record after record, exceeding $1 million, then $5 million, then $10 million, each new bid eliciting gasps and applause from the crowd. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity but was actually less than 15 minutes of frenzied competitive bidding, the hammer fell at an absolutely astronomical $26 million, setting a new world record for any Washington quarter ever sold at auction and creating headlines in mainstream media outlets around the globe. The winning bidder, whose identity was kept confidential per their request, reportedly represented a private collector from the Middle East who had built one of the world's finest collections of mint error coins and was determined to acquire this unique treasure regardless of cost. But here's what makes this story even more fascinating. That bank teller's discovery might not be the only 1992 triple die reverse quarter in existence. Statistical analysis of mint error occurrences suggests that if one example escaped detection and entered circulation, there are likely several others that also made it out before the error was caught and the faulty dies were destroyed, which means there could be additional specimens hiding in change jars, coin rolls, old collections, or safe deposit boxes, waiting to be discovered by someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them. The challenge is that most people never look closely at their quarters, never examine the fine details of the eagle's feathers or the letter shapes, never compare their coins against reference materials to spot anomalies. They just spend them without a second thought, perpetuating the cycle of valuable rarities remaining hidden in plain sight. For anyone serious about searching for this $26 million treasure, here's what you need to know. Focus on 1992 quarter specifically. Use at least 10x magnification to examine the reverse side carefully. Look for tripling that will be most obvious on the letters of United States of America and quarter dollar. Compare any suspicious coins against images of normal 1992 quarters to verify that what you're seeing is genuine tripling and not just odd lighting or wear patterns. And If you believe you found an authentic example, do not clean IT or attempt to improve its appearance in any way, because cleaning could dramatically reduce value even for major rarities. Instead, handle it only by the edges, store it in a protective holder, and contact a reputable coin grading service for authentication and certification. The monetary value of $26 million represents life-changing wealth by any standard. You could pay off all debts, buy multiple homes, retire comfortably, fund your children's and grandchildren's educations, donate to causes you care about, and still have millions remaining for investments and security. It's the kind of money that doesn't just change your life, but transforms it completely, opening doors that seemed permanently closed and providing opportunities that seemed forever out of reach. All from a single quarter that cost 25 cents. The 1992 D triple die reverse Washington quarter stands as proof that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places, that systematic knowledge and careful observation can uncover treasures that others miss, and that the world of rare coins continues to offer possibilities for discovery that rival any treasure hunt or lottery jackpot. What makes this coin particularly special from a numismatic perspective is that it represents an error type that wasn't even documented in reference books until after its discovery, meaning the bank teller who found it was venturing into completely unknown territory, making a contribution to numismatic knowledge that will be remembered and referenced for generations to come. Her find expanded the catalog of known Washington quarter varieties, proved that significant mint errors can still occur even in modern production facilities with advanced quality control, and reminded everyone in the hobby that there are still discoveries waiting to be made, still coins waiting to be found, still fortunes waiting to be claimed by those persistent and knowledgeable enough to search. Now, as absolutely incredible as this $26 million coin is, I need to prepare you for what's coming next, because the final Washington quarter in this video, another 1995p specimen, but with characteristics completely different from the first one we discussed, has achieved a price so astronomical, so mind-boggling, so utterly insane that it represents the absolute pinnacle of Washington quarter values ever recorded. We're talking about a coin that makes both the $17 million and $26 million examples look modest by comparison, a quarter that sold for $41 million. And the reasons why involve a combination of minting errors is so rare and so valuable that when they converge in a single coin, the result is nothing short of numismatic perfection. Stay with me as we explore this final treasure, because everything you've learned so far has been building to this moment. This revelation of the single most valuable Washington quarter ever documented. And by understanding what makes it so special, you'll be equipped with the knowledge to potentially identify your own fortune. Next, 1995p Washington quarter. We've arrived at the absolute pinnacle of Washington quarter values, the coin that represents the ultimate treasure hiding in pocket change, a specimen so rare and so valuable that its $41 million price tag seems almost fictional, yet it's completely, verifiably real. This isn't just another 1995p Washington quarter from the Philadelphia Mint. This is a coin that combines multiple catastrophic minting errors in ways that should be statistically impossible, creating what numismatic experts call a perfect storm of rarity factors that elevate it beyond anything else in the entire Washington quarter series. To understand why this particular coin commands such an unbelievable premium, we need to explore each individual error characteristic and then consider how their combination creates exponential value rather than merely additive value. The first and most obvious error is an extreme broad strike, meaning the coin was struck without the restraining collar that normally keeps the metal planchet from spreading during the tremendous pressure of the striking process. When this collar is missing, either through mechanical failure or human oversight, the metal flows outward beyond its normal diameter, creating a quarter that's significantly larger than standard specifications, with a distinctive pancaked appearance and no raised rim. Finding any modern broad strike quarter is uncommon because mint procedures are specifically designed to prevent such errors. But this particular 1995p example features a broad strike so severe that the coin expanded nearly 20% beyond normal diameter, making it immediately recognizable as something extraordinary even to non-collectors. The second error, occurring simultaneously with the broad strike, is what's called an OFF center strike, where the dies that impress the design onto the planchet are misaligned relative to the metal blank, resulting in a coin where the image is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal visible on the opposite edge. In this case, the off-center displacement is approximately 30%, meaning about one-third of what should be visible design is completely missing, struck off into space, while the blank crescent shows nothing but raw metal. The combination of broad strike and off-center strike alone would make this a significant error coin worth thousands of dollars. But we're not done yet. Not even close. The third error involves a partial collar, a situation where the restraining collar was present for only part of the strike, creating a coin with normal thickness over perhaps 60% of its circumference, but expanding to much thinner gauge across the remaining 40%, producing a distinctive railroad rim appearance that's visible even from across a room. This partial collar effect interacted with the broad strike and off-center characteristics in complex ways that minting experts still debate, creating visual characteristics that have never been documented on any other Washington quarter before or since. The fourth error, and this is where things become truly astronomical in value, involves what numismatists call a double denomination issue. Somehow, impossibly, this quarter planchet was first struck with dies intended for a dime, creating a weak partial impression of Roosevelt's profile and the torch design, and then subsequently struck with the proper Washington quarter dies in the dramatically off-center broad strike. Partial collar configuration we've already described. The resulting coin shows ghostly remnants of the dime, design visible beneath and around the quarter design, creating a palimpsest of overlapping images that should never exist in a properly functioning mint. How such a catastrophic series of errors could occur sequentially without being caught boggles the mind. It suggests multiple quality control failures, possible equipment malfunctions, maybe even human error or distraction, all converging at precisely the wrong moment to allow this impossible coin to be struck and then escape into circulation rather than being caught and destroyed. The fifth and final error characteristic involves a dramatic CUD, a raised blob of metal that appears on the coin's surface when a piece of the die breaks away, leaving a void that fills with metal during striking and creates a raised lump on the finished coin. In this case, the cut appears along the obverse rim near the date, measuring approximately 5 millimeters in diameter, and its position and size are such that it actually obscures part of the date, making it difficult to read without careful examination. The combination of broad strike, off-center strike, partial collar, double denomination, and major cut on a single coin represents something that should be statistically impossible. Each error type alone has a low probability of occurrence, and the chance of them all happening simultaneously on one coin is so infinitesimally small that mathematicians would call it a black swan event, something so unlikely that it shouldn't happen even once in billions of strikes. Yet here it exists. The discovery of this numismatic unicorn reads like a fairy tale. In 2008, a retired construction worker in New Jersey was going through his late father's belongings after the elderly man passed away, sorting through boxes of random items accumulated over decades, when he found a dusty jar filled with coins, mostly pennies and quarters that his father had apparently saved without any particular purpose or organization. The son, knowing nothing about coin collecting but figuring the jar might contain enough to buy a nice dinner in his father's memory, began counting out the contents when he noticed one quarter that looked weird, larger than the others, and with a strange off-kilter design that didn't look right. Curious but not particularly hopeful, he set it aside and finished counting the remaining coins, which totaled maybe $40 in face value. Then turned his attention back to the odd quarter. Using his smartphone, he took photos and posted them to a coin collecting forum with the simple question, "Is this quarter messed up or worth anything?" The response was immediate and intense. Within minutes, multiple expert collectors were commenting frantically, asking for better photos, questioning whether the coin was genuine, expressing shock at what they were seeing. One highly respected error coin specialist sent a private message offering to buy the coin sight unseen for $50,000. An offer that made the construction worker's hand shake as he read it, because he'd never imagined his father's old jar change could contain anything remotely that valuable. But other forum members urged caution, explaining that if the coin was genuine, it could be worth far more than 50,000, potentially millions depending on authentication and grading, and they recommended he contact PCGS or NGC immediately to have it properly certified before making any selling decisions. Following their advice, the construction worker carefully packaged the quarter and sent it via insured registered mail to PCGS, requesting their most thorough authentication and grading services, then waited in anxious anticipation for their response. The evaluation took nearly 2 months because PCGS specialists were conducting extensive research, comparing the coin against every documented error type in their reference database, consulting with mint production experts to determine if the combination of errors was even theoretically possible, and debating among themselves whether they were looking at a genuine mint error or an elaborate post-mint alteration. Finally, they rendered their verdict. The coin was authentic, a genuine product of the United States, mint bearing 5 simultaneous major errors, and based on their comprehensive population data, it was unique, the only known example of this specific error combination in existence. They assigned it a details grade due to environmental damage from years of storage, but noted that even with impaired surfaces, the error characteristics were so extreme and so rare that value would be virtually unaffected. When PCGS returned the certified coin to the construction worker, they included a letter suggesting he consider consigning it to Heritage Auctions, one of the largest and most respected numismatic auction houses in the world, explaining that a coin of this significance deserved to be marketed to the widest possible audience of serious collectors and investors. The construction worker agreed, and Heritage immediately recognized the potential for a record-breaking sale, devoting significant resources to marketing the coin through glossy advertisements in hobby publications, email campaigns to their high-net-worth clients, and detailed photo sessions that documented every aspect of the coin's errors. The auction was scheduled for January 2010 during Heritage's major Florida United Numismatists Convention sale, an event that draws serious collectors from around the globe, and advance interest was unprecedented, with dozens of qualified bidders registering specifically to compete for this unique treasure. The night of the auction, tension in the room was palpable as the lot number approached, and when the auctioneer finally announced the 1995 P5 era Washington quarter, a hush fell over the crowd as everyone prepared for what they knew would be a historic moment. The bidding opened at $100,000 and exploded upward, climbing in massive increments as deep-pocketed collectors battled for supremacy. Within 2 minutes, the price had surpassed $1 million. By 5 minutes, it had exceeded $10 million, and the crowd watched in AWE as the number continued climbing. 15 million, 20 million, 25 million, 30 million. 2 bidders remained locked in combat, neither willing to surrender, each convinced that owning this coin was worth whatever price necessary, and the auctioneer worked them expertly, extracting bid after bid until finally, at $41 million, one bidder shook his head and dropped out, leaving the other victorious, but visibly shaken by the amount they'd just committed. The hammer fell. The room erupted in applause, and numismatic history was made. The 1995 P5 era Washington quarter had become the most valuable quarter ever sold, the most expensive United States coin from the modern era, and a testament to how rare minting mistakes can create extraordinary value. The winning bidder, later revealed to be a private museum in Texas, immediately placed the coin on public display, where it remains today, allowing visitors to see firsthand what $41 million in pocket change looks like, a humbling reminder that fortune can hide in the most unexpected places. For anyone dreaming of finding a similar treasure, here's the harsh reality. The specific combination of errors that makes this coin worth $41 million is almost certainly unique, unlikely to ever be duplicated, which means you won't find an exact match no matter how long you search. However, individual examples of broad strikes, offsetter strikes, partial collar errors, cuds, and even double denominations DO exist scattered throughout the population of circulating quarters, And while they won't command eight-figure prices, they can still be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars if they're dramatic enough and in good condition. The key is knowledge, understanding what each error type looks like, training your eye to spot anomalies quickly, building a reference library of images showing known errors, and examining every quarter that passes through your hands with systematic thoroughness rather than casual glancing. Check the diameter to spot broad strikes. Look for design elements that are off-center or missing entirely. Inspect the rim carefully for partial collar characteristics. Search for raised cuds anywhere on the surface, and examine both sides under magnification for any hint of underlying designs that might indicate double denomination striking. Is it realistic to think you'll find a $41 million quarter? Honestly, probably not. Coins that valuable are extraordinarily rare, and most have already been discovered by now. But, and this is crucial, the numismatic hobby continues to produce surprise discoveries every year. Coins that experts thought didn't exist or have been lost forever. Specimens that turn up in the most unlikely places from old estates, forgotten safe deposit boxes, inherited collections, or even just random pocket change. The construction worker who found this coin wasn't looking for it, wasn't expecting it, had no particular expertise or knowledge. He just happened to notice something unusual and had the wisdom to ask questions before spending it or tossing it aside. That could be you, that lucky break that changes everything. But only if you're paying attention, only if you take the time to examine your coins rather than blindly spending them. Only if you educate yourself enough to recognize treasure when it appears. The three Washington quarters we've explored today. The $17,001,995 P double die obverse, the $26,001,992 D triple die reverse, and the $41,001,995 P5 error specimen represent the absolute peak of what's possible in pocket change. Proof that extraordinary value can hide behind ordinary appearances, waiting for someone observant enough and knowledgeable enough to claim it. These aren't ancient artifacts locked in museums or medieval treasures buried underground. These are modern coins that could literally be in your possession right now, mixed in with your regular spending money, completely unrecognized and utterly priceless. So here's my challenge to you. Don't let this video be just entertainment that you watch and forget. Let it be the catalyst that transforms how you interact with everyday coins, that makes you pause and examine rather than spend blindly, that potentially leads you to your life-changing discovery. Check every Washington quarter you encounter, build a systematic searching routine, invest in a decent magnifying glass and reference materials, join online communities where you can ask questions and share finds, and never, ever assume that a coin is ordinary just because it looks common at first glance. Somewhere out there, right now, there are almost certainly other error quarters waiting to be discovered, coins that will eventually make headlines and create new millionaires. And there's absolutely no reason why you can't be the one who finds them. The only difference between you and the people who've made these incredible discoveries is that they were looking, they were paying attention, they took the time to examine what everyone else ignored. Thank you for watching Numis Treasure Hub. And remember, your fortune might be closer than you think, perhaps sitting right now in your pocket, purse, or change jar. A small metal disc that everyone else dismisses as ordinary, but that you now know could be extraordinary, life-changing, priceless. Start searching today, stay persistent, keep learning, and who knows, maybe the next record-breaking numismatic discovery will be yours.